Oh, yes.
Lovely.
I was genuinely worried that I was going to sober up. I'll get us some refills.
Even if it's out of my way, I always try and stop for the night at Minnie's. Strangely, I can't remember a time when she wasn't working. And another thing, Minnie is a lovely woman, but she can be a little bit racist. See that big bat that says High Guard on it? Well, if a high board should make the mistake of trying to get served in here, she invites them to see how much of the bat they can fit up there.
And here we go! Looks like we're the only drinkers in this place tonight. The keg is full. We shall virtuously drink it dry.
That's odd. Kegs don't usually last long in this place. Still, more for us.
Hello and welcome back to Saturday. This is Saturday E4 2019, and yeah, I mean we're basically going straight into the battle.
We waffled on a lot on Friday.
Yeah.
We're going to waffle on a lot more for Saturday.
Yes, we were going into this. We were just because we've got little lists of what we've got to go through. We might not end up hitting all of it, and sometimes we miss a few things out. But there's a lot of points and a lot happened on Saturday, and it's huge.
I mean, it's yeah. Okay, so we're battling.
Yeah, straight into battle. So we find out we're going to be playing, as our characters, obviously, going into this battle against the Druj, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
The Druj are absolute bastards.
Yeah.
If you're going down around the Druj, you're not getting. They're going to kill you.
Yeah.
They're real dicks about it, you know. So a lot of pressure riding on it. I'd actually gone to the auxiliaries meeting the night before, so I was all set to go to be a runner again, basically. Sure.
You headed down there a bit earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, I headed down there earlier just to touch base with everyone and get potions and stuff.
I was pretty late getting down there, actually, just kitting up and stuff, and I think we were just, in general, a bit late kitting up.
So who were the armies again? So we had with us Urizen, Dawn.
Yeah. High Guard.
Was that it?
I think so, maybe. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for forgetting.
No, I think that is it.
Yeah.
High Guard, Urizen, the League.
Maybe the League, yeah.
It was the League.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
And then, so basically, that's a pretty good lineup right there.
That is a pretty good lineup. I feel fairly confident in that lineup.
Like, the weapons, obviously the Marchers have got their pole arms.
Yeah.
Wintermark have got their shield. The Brass Coast who could fucking skirmishers.
Yeah.
It's like there's the Imperial Orcs.
Yeah. And this is what I like about it is all the nations are really good and have a really good military representation, and they fight a certain way, and it's weird how you know them for certain things, like what they're kind of about.
You're going to fight these people.
Yeah.
They might come in different weapons and they might do a bunch of different stuff, but they're still those people.
Yeah, and they fight in that way a little bit.
Some nations are tougher than others, right?
Plus, I mean, we'll go into this more when we get into our own monstering, but when you monster, you kind of have a brief that is a bit similar to what your actual national brief is. Sometimes.
Yeah, I think there are similarities for sure.
Like, for example, we play Ulfenoir, for example, when we're as the Jotun, and that means that we're sort of heavy skirmishers and stuff like that, which is kind of Navari.
Yeah.
So they kind of use the assets that teams have. But, of course, there's lots of people who do what we do, which is use it as an opportunity to try a different weapon system or, operate in a different way. But anyway, we'll get there when we get to the Sunday battle.
Yeah, so before the battle... Oh, yeah, the battle, basically there's going to be Sandfisher Orcs.
Yes.
Who are friendly Orcs.
Yeah. And we're trying to basically save them from this Druj attack, I guess, and basically show them that we can protect them, and thus that might lead to them.
There'll be orcs in the field that are unarmed, and we shouldn't attack them.
Yeah.
And protect them, hopefully. So... Oh, there's also you hear about the guys with the smoke.
Yes,
There was smoke with venom in or whatever, or something horrible. Yeah. So you want to kill them as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's how we all feel that was, right? Before the battle, I got set up with the runners, gave us my potion, and basically they were talking about how the battle was going to run. And the field marshal was this lady. She was like pretty badass.
Yeah.
Seemed to know what the fuck was going on. They're talking about we had loads of runners. Yeah. Basically, they went like, right, what we'll do is we'll embed one of our runners with Dawn.
Right.
And I was like, who here knows what the Dawn Commander looks like? I was like, I do. The
Yeah.
Dawn Commander was the same field marshal as the
Previous time. Oh,
yeah.
awesome.
So I was like, I know who that is. So they were like, oh, you go with them. So basically, I became the runner for Dawn.
That's interesting.
And I did very little running back to field command because I didn't know where the fuck they were.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, this is the interesting thing about this battle is we take the field and we basically get stuck into the enemy pretty quick. An important factor to this is that this is the first time the Entwined Paths military is basically being represented on the field.
Did we engage virtually immediately when we came out?
Pretty much.
And it was like we immediately went out there and all the units basically moved in their nations into different areas. And basically all we did was just go around and smack the shit out of them, basically.
Yeah, so basically with the first batch that go in, we just hit them really hard, and then from then we were just driving them back the whole way to halfway up the field.
I went through the woods on the left-hand side, and there was some good action in there. Like, it was a lot of fighting, a lot of the Druj retreating. I think that's very Druj tactics, by the way, because they're like, if it's not an even fight, they'll pull back. Yeah. The commander almost got cut off, murdered. Because there was immediately there were different bands of orcs moving around and hitting undefended flanks because that's the way the whole situation was moving. It was a really interesting little fight going through the woods. I don't know how many people died in that. I think everyone survived, but it was like that set the tone for the rest of the battle, you know.
But I think the big thing that happened is on the main part of the field, we just hit into them hard and essentially just drove them all the way back.
Was Navarre on the main field then?
Yeah, we were kind of on. Well, the Entwined Paths and the Navarches were more on the right, which is where I was.
All right, so you were going to battle as the Entwined Paths, right?
Basically, I was kind of working with the Navarches at first, but we were given what our targets would be and who to focus on. Basically, taking archers and people dressed
high value targets.
Yeah, high value targets.
Yeah, there's supposed to be these people that were supposed to get who had like something in their pocket, like orders or something.
Yeah, we had to collect those.
Yeah.
So and we just hit into them, and I ended up just falling in like behind the Entwined Paths unit, which was operating really, really well. I mean, they were just breaking the line and rolling them on, and it was just a really good outing for our unit as the first time. Yeah.
That's good.
And but there were so many people like shouting and communicating in the group, and it was really interesting to see us just really. I mean, the other good thing about all this was the fight was relatively in our favour. Mm-hmm. So I think it gave everybody like that initial burst of like super confidence. There's nothing like victory, right? There's nothing like succeeding to lead to more success.
There was a whole bunch of times when there would be people cut off. Because especially like downed people or a physic working on a downed person, there were like small bands of Druj running around. Yeah. Just it was complete anarchy, right? Like it was hard to tell where everyone was and what.
In a way, I mean, basically, so we broke them back to this kind of palisade wall.
Yeah.
And I think what was supposed to happen was we were supposed to just hold at the wall, both forces would reinforce, and then we'd hit them. But we just kept going.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a chance to regroup properly at the palisade wall.
Yeah.
Because we just went into them too quickly. And then after that, the battle was basically over.
I hung around with Dawn.
Yeah.
Right? And I've never followed Dawn ever, right? Yeah. Those guys are a goddamn wrecking crew.
Oh, yeah.
They love it.
Glory.
They are completely like suicidal in their absolute determination to go straight through the enemy.
Yeah.
They absolutely love it.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, but it got to the stage.
A member of Dawn, I won't say who, said commanding Dawn is like herding cats.
Yeah.
You kind of just gotta let them do their thing.
Yeah.
And then eventually when they run out of killing enemy, they'll come back.
They'll reform.
Yeah,
you more unleash them than anything else.
And they really did do that. They went off in like big blocks. So they were like like a regiment each type thing, and they kind of worked in these sort of groups.
Well, I think the other thing that happened really was, as I say, after we broke them at the palisade, I really to a large extent that was the battle kind of over, and what it descended into was chasing after pockets of enemy as bigger blobs and crushing
Whacker Druj.
Yeah, and it just turned into Whacker Druj, yeah, and in the best possible way, and it was a super interesting battle to be involved in, but it showed you in a way like there's almost a chaos of victory where units are so busy chasing down other units and destroying them that they actually become very disorganised.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of
massively.
points where Imperial forces got in a little bit of trouble.
The army went all the way from the gate that goes through to the brushland area, all the way across the field.
Yeah, through the forest as well.
Through the forest as well. It was like, basically you'd run around. I was running around this whole time trying to figure out what's going on, giving orders to different Dawn members and doing all this stuff. But it really was like, just everyone was doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And you spot a group of new orcs arriving, then everyone just charges towards them.
So basically, this is at the height of the point when we're running around killing all the enemy. I turn around and there's Urizen and Vespian, who I know from Urizen, basically organising his group, and then a whole bunch of these Sandfisher orcs who were all like, "Save us, save us!" And I'm like, I don't know what to do in this situation, and also I'm worried about. I can recognise that they're friendly. Will everybody else around me recognise they're friendly?
Right.
Vespian's like, we need to organise and sort this out and get control of this situation. I think, I can't remember, but I think I drew an arrow and aimed it at them and was like, everybody get down kind of thing. Just because the other thing is there was a worry that they may actually be Druj in disguise. So, and then it was like, I went, but then it was kind of like, afterwards.
I'd love to see a GoPro footage of what it would be like to be a Sandfisher orc in that, because everyone you came into, nobody trusted. Like, everyone was like, I'll protect you, just keep the fuck away from me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was crazy.
I think Dawn almost charged them at one point. Or no, Dawn didn't move to protect like someone that was being attacked. I yelled at them a bit. But it was crazy. Yeah. I think most of them got out.
Yeah, I think actually it was a great success on that front. It was so funny because Vespian was just like, what are we going to do here? At one point they were following me. I managed to palm them off on someone because I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It was really good. But I got to fight with Urizen very briefly as well, and that was really cool. But to be honest with you, and this flows throughout the whole battle, I did very little. I mean, I took down a few targets.
Okay, I should say I heard, this is fake news at its best, that there were 600 odd our forces and 300 odd their forces. Yeah. So you're looking at a 2-to-1 advantage. Yeah. So it's I don't know.
Yeah, for that, if that's the situation, I'd say we honestly don't know. But if
it
that's
didn't
the situation,
feel like we were meeting a matched army. Yeah. Right? It was.
It's so difficult to say. For example, sometimes bad things happen on the field and you can just dominate it.
I was being really cowardly and trying not to be involved in any combat. By the end, I was like, fuck it. Yeah. I'll go and get me some.
So there's this bit later on in the woods, and at this point it really just has descended into just closing down groups and killing them. Yeah. But they're also respawning quite a bit. I don't notice, but there's a whole bunch of arrows and I need to basically check through them to make sure they're safe. So I lean over, take all my arrows out, and I'm working through them, literally leaning next to this tree, and then all of a sudden all the Druj just start moving round me. Not seeing my face. They've just come from respawn. They're all walking past me as I'm swiping from my arrows. I don't notice them because I'm in my own little world looking through my arrows. And then halfway through I do recognise them, so I kind of huddle down closer. I get completely cut off on my own behind this kind of... It's not a huge group of trees. It got completely cut off behind them.
That's crazy.
With none of us really properly noticing each other. And then I see what's going to happen and that I'm fully cut off. Our units crash into them and start breaking them because we're in such a dominant position. And all of a sudden I go from being panicked to being like, I'm in the best possible place. I'm literally behind their line as they're being routed as an archer. And I just started shooting people as they were running, and it was just so good. And there was this bit at the end where there was like, I think one person left, and they were basically on their own getting ready to cut off, and it was just me, and they charged at me, and I shot them. And I don't know who this orc is, but massive respect to them because they did like a full-on Stormtrooper style, over-exaggerated mega death. Where they literally
flip up in the air.
Bear in mind, we're in the forest, right? And it's like the terrain is potentially a little bit risky. But this person it was like I'd hit him with a howitzer. He just threw himself into the air, like weapons, everything flying. He landed, and then he gave me like a thumbs up.
Laugh, bro. I like it.
It was whoever that was. You're an absolute hero, and you just made me feel so badass, and I really appreciate it.
The hero Brokelian, bro. You probably put that on 80% to do that. Usually it's a 40%, but that was an 80%.
Orc deaths, really good, satisfying orc deaths, are so much fun.
We had we had a great time.
Yeah,
right?
We had a fantastic time.
I hope the other orcs did because it was a good.
I think everybody seemed to. I mean, as I say, whoever this person was, and I did see this a bunch on the field with like orcs just being awesome, like the people who went to Monster just being really awesome, and just like. I mean, we'll get to this more when we get to our own monstering experience, but you really get this opportunity when you're monstering just to fully cut loose, and just. I can give you an awesome, like I can die awesomely for you, or I can make a story when I defeat you, you know? Mm-hmm. And there's a bit of you that is, because in a way when you're battling, it's kind of got that slightly sportish element to it.
Yeah.
But as a monster, you have the decision at any point to be like, you kill me, and this is like in an awesome way, right?
I actually really enjoyed being a runner because I shouldn't really say this, but it kind of gave me the freedom to do whatever the fuck I liked.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I don't know where command is. I'm trying to find command,
Yeah.
so I get to run around a lot, basically trying to like just check out what's going on in different places. Gives you a really nice, fun sense of the battle, and you bump into other runners.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Also, our general.
Yeah.
I took my eyes off him for a fucking second.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Right.
He's like fucking. He's
in the fray.
He's Houdini.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's there 1 second. You're like, all right, I got him here. This guy must have covered. Like, fuck knows how many miles he covered in one battle. But he was always moving.
To be honest with you, the battle was such that I was just able to walk up to any situation I wanted and get involved. And you can't, like, pretty much anywhere on the field, they had complete freedom of the field. It was just an awesome battle. But it's kind of weird talking about it because it's like, I guess a lot more of it is about... Because it was quite one-sided, in a sense. It was... The feeling for us was just... awesome, and I hope everybody who was on the opposite side had a really good time.
We were all very worried that we were going to get something very bad on Sunday.
I honestly went into this battle thinking that like it was going to be super sketchy.
Yeah,
and it turned out not to be that way. But everybody who went to Monster that day, thank you so much. It was amazing.
Yep, thank you everyone. Right, so Entwine Paths celebration.
Yeah. So it was the other big thing that happened during this battle. Was the Entwined Paths had basically beaten the foe to the point where they were able to actually take the banner and off the unit that they defeated.
Entwined Paths did good.
Yeah, and I moved with them, and all the way through the battle I felt like the only thing I was the exclamation point or the full stop to the get the fuck away, we win kind of situation. Mm-hmm. Our units was doing so well that like basically I would just walk up and shoot someone. And that would be it. Like that would be like I was in no way pivotal to the battle a bunch of times, just because everybody else was doing so well.
It's great that we get a nice little early win and just build some confidence, right?
Yeah. So, but we got to go back and basically celebrate this as the Entwined Paths. Bear in mind, I didn't actually know about this at this point that we'd won the banner. So we got to do all of that and head back to camp and just had a really an awesome moment. We all got to celebrate what we've achieved and what coming together has actually done, and as actually when you got to see the size of the force that we were able to deploy, it's really like as this is something that we've all helped build in our own little ways.
I think it's something to like have more people to RP with, and context to everything that's going on.
For us, it's amazing, brilliant. And
we all survived.
Yeah, we all survived.
No Ashbourne died.
No Ashbourne died. Well, in fact, no Navarre died.
Really?
Yeah, that's what seemed to be the case when we got to standing.
I think there was like 5 casualties total. I think there were 5.
But it was just fantastic. Also, thank you very much to the monster unit that let us have their banner just to sort of parade around, and and that's really kind of you
I
guys.
think that was like
You've got to return it, so we've returned it
ASAP,
but,
basically. Because someone actually made it. It was an emu unit thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, but thank you to those people that let us do that. I just really appreciate it. It was fantastic. For us. It was like a huge moment. I think we all really, really enjoyed it. So, yeah. After that, I guess one of the things that's kind of happened is that I've got a bunch of people who. Talis is quite sort of sympathetic to basically helping people with his ability to make potions.
Yeah. We get people showing up now.
Yeah, so I think partly this is because of the books, but also partly through the links I have. I've got a bunch of people who I basically make potions for cost
Were they
for.
Urazen who showed up?
Yeah, some people in Urazen.
That's really cool.
Yeah, well, I basically had told Lanius that if they wanted potions, I'd do them for cost, basically, which is obviously quite useful for them. But and then obviously some people in Navarre I'm willing to do, I think, pretty damn good deals, like pretty much cost with, who are friends of ours. I shouldn't really say this.
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing?
But
stop talking.
Talis, I think, that's just the kind of thing he's able to do a lot of these things. So the whole of the way through the event, I was just basically brewing a lot of potions, had opportunities to take people to show them what the process is for brewing potions, which is... PD do it really well, basically, and it's not in any way an intimidating process, so it's quite good just to take people along. You basically get herbs, and it's essentially like a card trading game where you trade two or more of your
cards for
common cards for a rare card. It's basically what happens. So you go
down to God.
Yeah, and you hand in you hand in herbs. Yeah. Of a certain combination, and they will make a potion.
Interesting.
And then
it's like magic without the ritual, basically.
Yeah. Well, what then you're supposed to go and do 10 minutes of role playing to represent you brewing the potion.
Do you do the 10 minutes of?
Sometimes. I think with some of the newer players, I've basically talked them through it, and this time I did a bit more of that because one of the things I had forgotten, the only thing I'd in fact forgotten, was all my potion brewing stuff. I've got these sort of demijohns with some stuff here, and I've got some other things that I kind of go around and clink around with to represent me making my potions. I hadn't remembered a lot of that, and it was for the newer players, so I just sort of talked them through what you would do if I had those things, which is kind of a bit of a lame way to do it, and I'm sorry about that for those people. Next time I'll maybe make a bit more effort and make a bit more of a display of it. That's on me kind of thing, but it was just, as I say, time as well as a huge issue.
Right.
But I really enjoyed that. I just really enjoyed being the alchemist, right? That was really good fun.
Right, so this is where I jump into my political game.
Yeah.
Right, so having been told that I might want to be there at 3:00 for the afternoon Senate meeting.
Yeah.
I again go to my little room that's off the side.
Yeah.
And basically I'm in there with a bunch of different people that are all there to do different things. There's a few orcs, they're trying to work on something. I think it's building something, a building. And I chat to a few of those guys. And then there's also a Varushkan lady there who is also running for the seat of Jean.
Awesome.
And I'm chatting to her. Really like her, by the way. Really like her character. She's just, as an adversary, it's like, it's a good adversary. I'm sitting there, start going through the Senate hearings.
Yeah.
Basically, to elect a ambassador, there needs to be a motion, and then the next Senate meeting, you have the vote for it.
Right.
Now, no one raised it on the Friday session.
To make a motion to have the vote.
To make a motion to have the vote. So you literally can't have the vote at 3:00.
Right.
Right? So I'm like, well, this isn't good.
Yeah.
You know? So I sit there. Time goes by. I listen to all of the different... I don't even get to watch, right? This is the worst thing about this. I don't get to watch. I get to listen.
Yeah. So
all the Senate is going on. I hear huge amounts of money and big plays going on next door.
Right.
An hour
and
goes,
you're in like the antechamber next door.
An hour goes by.
Yeah.
More Senate hearings. Different people filter out of the room. It was full at the start. Starts filtering out until there's just me and the lady from Jean.
Yeah.
It's like an hour and a half have gone by.
Yeah.
then there's a Senate motion to hear from Skyrise Fowl.
Right.
Okay. He's spoken about this on the Orc Planet, so I feel a bit comfortable talking about this vote, and it is public. He basically said that the Senate aren't doing their duty when it comes to the diplomatic service, the Imperial service.
Yeah.
Because you didn't even raise a motion. The JARM are going to be here at 6 o'clock or whatever it was. It's now 5:30.
Right.
So it's not like there's any time before this happens.
Yeah.
Right? And they're like, he's like, I vote. I don't want power. This isn't what I actually want.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you now to get this done, that you give me like total power to elect ambassadors.
Wow.
Yeah. So there was some back and forth about how you need check and balances. Another person said that basically there is a check and balance because the religious, not religious, the magic lot, what they called the conclave. They are, they can put stuff on it. The synod as well,
right.
Things are virtuous or not. A whole bunch of back and forth.
Yeah,
probably misclaiming a bunch of stuff right now. But it was like, oh man, this is a fucking showdown.
Yeah,
right?
And you didn't get to watch any of this, so we could just hear it.
No, I ended up coming out of the room just to watch this.
Right.
I was like, no way I'm missing this. I had to come out of the room and watch, and everyone was like fascinated.
Where were you watching it from? Were you watching Porpoise Gallery? You're actually on the Senate.
I was on the side. I came out of the room basically and just joined the side, which I might do again if it's one of these sort of events. The vote comes down.
Yeah.
They count the votes from one side.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
They count the votes from the other side.
Right.
It's 16.
Oh my word. So
they count again.
Yeah.
They count like 3 or 4 times. They swap sides. They do all that stuff. And they're like, no, 100%. It's a tie vote.
Right.
That means that it doesn't pass.
Right.
But imagine
16. That's crazy.
Imagine. And the only dealings I've had with Fowl have always been like he's a very respectable character.
Yeah.
I've been given no reason to believe that he's the sort of person that
has
craves the power or would want to wield that unwisely,
Yeah.
And the problem was that a lot of people were saying it wasn't because it was him.
Yeah, it's who might get it next or whatever.
Exactly. Exactly, right?
Right.
So it's pretty obvious, right? But it was like a big moment. I was in the Senate for 2 hours.
Right. It's a lot. Right?
I needed to pee when I walked in the building.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was just gone, but you're in that nervous energy. Man, I was there a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I want to say about that. It was a long time. It was a wonderful moment. But I would say I might have preferred doing something else with that time in hindsight.
Yeah, I think the problem with a lot of this is that had it all gone cushy, or had things gone your way, maybe you feel differently about it.
If it won the vote, who knows what might have happened?
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. That's crazy. Like I would have definitely been like, now's the fucking time.
Yeah.
So who knows, right?
Yeah.
But it was a real education on how the Senate works.
I think like you came back and you were, as you kind of said that maybe you could have done something else or whatever. But having said that, I think you'd still really enjoyed yourself.
It's taken me a few days to digest, and this is the same for all of this.
Yeah.
But now I'm through to the other side.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this in a bit more detail later, but it's more like it's a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
I can get choked up at a guy telling a story about a character that died of mine, and I can also be involved in something political and be passionate about that.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of... Yeah, we'll get to this, but it's interesting. My mood towards things, right?
Yeah.
Right, so you... Oh, we did some cooking. Oh, you went to hand out alchemy books?
Yeah, so I mentioned this in the pre-labs, so I'll really quickly say it here. But basically, one of the things I've been doing during downtime was making some more alchemy books. And I made 2 particular alchemy books to give to the 2 alchemists who are part of the Entwined Paths as gifts. Mm-hmm. So I was able to hand those out. And that was just a really cool thing I wanted to do. I had the opportunity to do it then. I hope they like them. It's just... I like doing stuff like that, and that's one of the cool things about giving people things and offering gifts and stuff. You can kind of... It has a tangibility to it, even though it's essentially, a book of, fake potions. It has something in it when it's in this
Dude,
the game world.
It's practical and it's cool to look at anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's aesthetically interesting as well as it is like.
So I was
handy.
super happy to do that. Yeah, the other thing is just like just generally hanging at our camp, and during this time we started to hear more rumours about some of the things that have been going on with the Briar hatred. And
yeah,
was it?
By the way, there was like God, I don't know whether I should mention this. I'm going to do it anyway. Fuck it.
Okay.
This is out of line. It's public knowledge.
Yeah.
There's a senator who's a Briar.
Yeah.
And he was up for re-election.
Yeah.
And I'm like, politically,
yeah,
how much of Briar dislike?
And he's got flowers in his hair.
Yes. Right. So, like, that's interesting.
Yeah. Right.
Like it's will that affect the vote?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought the politics on that was really interesting.
Yeah.
I think it was a very close run thing. The other candidate was very strong, by the way. So,
yeah. I think as well, the interesting thing was people had stepped into the standing circle and said basically, look, people with flowers in their hair from who fought in Brachyliand, the flowers are proof that they fought in Brachyliand.
Yeah.
And, of their loyalty and all this kind of stuff. And delivered a very, I think, passionate point that helped quieten some of the concerns that I think other people I see had and things.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. All of the Briar stuff was really interesting. Was it Saturday when someone got stabbed?
I think it was Saturday. Yeah.
So at some point during this time period, I can't exactly remember when, this masked character who'd been walking around stabbed a Briar. And I think more than one, and was basically chased out of Navarre.
I think there'd been some sort of threatening or to take some names down.
I think he had asked this Briar for their name. They'd refused to give it, and then they got stabbed. That's what I heard. All of this is very much hearsay. It was not
fake news, very much so. But it was exciting, right? And there was a lot of people talking. Like
I heard numbers like 60 Navarre were spread out looking for.
I heard 60
this
Navarre
person.
as one walked down. They went, listen, we're not going to be able to find them.
Yeah.
As all 60 of us.
Yeah.
Let's split up.
Yeah.
Go and have a look around.
Yeah. I mean, so much game.
It's a masked man.
Yeah. And he can take that mask off.
Exactly. And then just slip straight through a bunch of angry Navarre. Who knows?
So this whole situation, this kind of chasing of the masked man, turned into basically a huge subplot that ran through all of Saturday.
Militia were involved.
Everybody were, like, people. It's a multi-nation thing, because obviously all the stuff involving the orcs as well.
It's also there's supposed to be marchers, so the marchers were heavily involved.
Wasn't it the case that they had the marchers disagreed with him and actually had removed him from as a marcher?
I don't know whether maybe, I don't know.
I heard that, and then the point interesting was raised. That means if he doesn't have an egregore,
is he no longer with a nation? And
and honestly, there was a bunch of people who weren't sure how he sits in that situation.
Interesting,
and what that means for his citizenship and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
there was so much going on involving that.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
I heard that basically what happened was stabbed them. The militia took them in before they got shanked by the Navarre.
Right.
And they were going to go to trial.
Yeah.
But they released them.
Right.
Because they couldn't do the trial immediately.
Right.
They then left. And I think what happened was that there were two of them.
Yeah.
And the henchman turned on...
I know before this, well, I know what you're going to say, but before this, he got cleaved.
Right.
And taken to the hospital, and then, like, they were like,
They took him to the hospital?
Cured him up, took him to back to the militia thing, was like, look, we're not going to press charges, basically, against this person who cleaved you. And he was like, from this is again all rumor, I don't know. He was like, assign me a bodyguard, and like, we're not going to do that.
Oh, the militia were like, they washed their hands of it.
Yeah, and so they just sent him out again. And then I think what happened was
his friend turned on him.
Yeah,
shanked him.
Yeah,
and then the militia found out that the henchman had shanked him, took him in and executed him.
Yes. And it was so
a nice
cool.
little neat bow on the whole situation.
It was amazing. And I think
interestingly, like, the whole... To commit to that game,
yes,
and to create, with a very few amount of people, a very real world like effect on the game was
the
fantastic.
scale of this is very important to put across, like the number of people affected and the people who really engaged with it. It was a huge
people were worried.
Yeah,
right. Like there was a genuine. I think there should have been a bit more Briar hate personally.
Yeah,
like I would have liked to have seen there been a couple of groups that would have stood up, maybe not actively involved, but maybe vocally support. I don't know what it was like.
It was
being
interesting.
A player, but
yeah, and being in other nations and stuff, you don't know how it went down as well.
There's a little bit too much tolerance. A little bit too much.
I think, like, as well, though, I think a lot of that stems from, as I say before, people making quite impassioned and reasoned opinions.
If you have flowers, then you fought, and you fought bravely.
Exactly, and that was the implication.
It's a very compelling argument.
So I think, like, that actually, whoever made that argument in our camp, for example, really made a very good point that I think was very valuable and at a very poignant time was delivered right at the beginning. Right, that makes a huge difference. So it's interesting how, like, a little bit of RP like that can actually have a, I think, fairly profound change.
I thought it's inspirational in its nature, right? Because it drives the actual whole game. I don't know how to describe, like, the big train, the juggernaut, the platform that we're playing on, which is PD's game. Yeah. But the game within that, I don't know what there's a word for that as opposed to that, right? But it's a whole different thing, and it's within context, and it works so well.
I think all of that is the passengers on the train, right? Yeah. So it's like the train is driving along, and we're all on for the ride. But along the way, there's nothing stopping us cracking open a backgammon game and having a go. Yeah. Right? Like, that's how it is.
It made me very interesting. It's inspiring me for the future. Yeah. Who knows, right? Yeah. Who knows what's possible?
So during all of this, there was basically opened up the opportunity of whether or not we should go on a skirmish. Mm-hmm. I'd kind of been umming and ahhing about it all day, about what I was going to do. I didn't want to die. We just survived. All awesome things happened. But I thought, like, I would probably regret it if I didn't go on a skirmish. So, and the opportunity came to go on a skirmish with the Urizen. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, I'm definitely got to do that. So I was heading down. Linda came with me. Not Linda, sorry, Randall came with me, Lloyd's new character. And
who was the skirmish against?
This was against, like, whites and spooky ghosty things.
They're the worst fights to get into.
The worst fights, and, like, my weapon system is not that effective against them. I've not been anointed. All of the things that I was supposed to do I've not done. Yeah. I've some awesome
Are they the ones that walked around and went, like, down?
I think so.
Down.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a bad do to get involved in if you're not prepared. But I was up for it.
Well, you're not. You're still not on the front line. You don't have to worry too much.
I managed to convince Randall to be down for it, and then some awesome Navarre friends to be up for it as well. So I could it was kind of cool to rock up to the army with Navarches and Randall with me and stuff, and just be like, can we help? When we got to the gate, however, everyone had turned up for this skirmish, and it was pretty obvious we could get bounced and not get on it. Yeah. But after this, there were two Navarre skirmishes to basically go and deal with Valorn. So we're like, okay, we'll go and do one of those instead. So this Urizen skirmish goes off. I have no idea whether it's successful or not. They did their thing, and we were waiting around for this Navarre skirmish. And it ended up, it was quite a long period, because I think there might even have been 3 skirmishes. But just waiting for which skirmish we were going to get on, because certain types of units were being prioritised, which is completely understandable, because these are quite tough skirmishes and they need the right type of troops to beat them. But ultimately, the opportunity came to get on a skirmish. I wasn't really fully clear on the objectives or what we were trying to do. I hear there was some kind of ritual we were trying to do. As lame as it sounds, that's the best idea I can give you of what the objective was.
There was some sort of ritual
that we had to do at some place, potentially.
But you just set off and it was chaos.
So we go in and we're fighting basically against the Valorn and the heirs of Turuniel. The heirs of Turuniel are basically like this kind of
evil
traitor Navarre who are basically helping command the Valorn.
Yeah.
Well, not command them, kind of drive them, I suppose.
Yeah,
and
they're allied to them. They
Yeah.
kind of want to
So all of a sudden,
them.
the Valorn fight like these kind of tough plant zombies that will come at you, and if you bring them down, if you take them down, you have to basically execute them and venom them and stuff like that to finish them off. Otherwise, after a certain amount of time, they'll get back up again. So you really have to sort of fight them and then take the ground that they're on.
Forward into them.
Yeah, if you're moving backwards, it's actually very difficult against them. On top of that, the heirs of Turuniel were feeling a lot of archery. So all of a sudden you had this kind of Valorn army supported by archers.
Yeah,
and it just
bad.
made for a terrible, terrible situation we were not in any way prepared for. So we basically closed in on their position. We'd done this kind of quite cool... It was obviously supposed to be fairly quiet, but in reality, we probably were very, very obvious when you've got like 80 people attempting to be quiet to move into a position. But it was cool, right? We all got to hustle silently to this position, give hand signals, all that kind of stuff.
You give hand signals?
Yeah, it was awesome. And then it was like we engaged and we gained ground for probably about 10 to 20 seconds. And then all of a sudden, everything came round the corner. The forward line kind of just started falling back. See, and I don't know if we had achieved the ritual or one of the rituals or whatever the ritual process was supposed to be. I don't know if we achieved it and then had to move somewhere else and do something else. I don't know anything. But for whatever reason, whether or not that was supposed to be to achieve the objective and moving on, or because we had been broken, we ran. And we ran from this force that was chasing after us.
Oh, it's
and
not
they
a good...
They
were habit.
They were on our arse the whole way, right? Because the terrain's difficult. It's in the woods. It's deep in the woods as well, and you're kind of watching your feet. And there's a column of people running through a very thin gap in single file, trying to flee an enemy that's literally on your arse, right? So it's not that we can't outrun them. It's just that, like, in a conga line, we cannot outrun them. So people at the back are getting chewed up and having to sort of like.
How many do you reckon you lost?
I don't know how many. Well, I can tell you we definitely lost one because on our big fleet, and we pretty much did like a full circumnavigation of the woods, running away from them, with them chasing us the whole way. And during this time, basically, my boot had sort of started to slide off, and basically the greave on the top was kind of digging into the top of my foot. Right. I was actually getting a bit like OC concerned about it because I was trying to correct it and stuff. It was uncomfortable, and I was worried that like, oh man, if I run properly on this, I might actually hurt my foot. I probably should have stopped and done something, but like the craziness, I didn't want to die, right? So it ends up with me, because of my sort of boot situation, being pretty much the last person in the line. There was me, Randall, and this other guy. Okay.
Was he wearing a red shirt by any chance?
I can name two of the people in this story, and I can't name the third. Now, we're running, okay. I'm second from the back, this other guy's at the back, and Randall's in front of me. We're going for this extremely small single file space, and then he gets basically cleaved and taken down, like, right behind me. And I just turned to look at him as he was like calling out for our help, and I said sorry, and then we just kept running. It was so dark, and then the darkest part of it all was me and Randall never spoke about it. I see ever. We just like
he's gone.
He's gone. But we never, for the rest of the event, we never spoke about it. And then after the event, me and Lloyd have been talking, and it's like, you know, we just left a man to die. He was calling out for us, and we just left him. We apologised and left him. You know what I mean? Like there was.
You can take the boys out of Cambridge, but you can't take the Cambridge out of the boys. Basically,
it was just crazy, and I think that is. Because I was actually concerned about my foot and also concerned about dying. It meant for this extremely weird hopping back to the line kind of thing. We got back to the gate, basically, formed up to face them and hold them off for a little bit. And then they just started chucking us through the gate. Just basically go, get out. And I was like, I am taking that ticket. I'm out of here. My boot's fucked. Like, you know, so it was as a skirmish, very much like that skirmish we had last season.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Like, it was when we got cut off from the gate while we were doing our circumnavigation. I don't know if we were actually supposed to be running for the gate at that point or some other location. So I don't know what the objectives and stuff were, if we were kind of failing in our objective.
You were surviving.
Or just, we'd taken a wrong turn. When we got cut off from the gate and I could see them basically in front of the gate and us running away from them, I honestly thought we might all die. Like, that's the bit I was like, we're not going to get back there, right? Because we can't beat them. We can't take them on the field, right? Every time we try and fight them, we're falling back. So we can't beat them. And if they're in front of the gate, we aren't going out. As it so happens, we ended up doing this kind of Benny Hill all the way around of them chasing us. And we just managed to get out. What an awesome skirmish. And thank you so much to everybody who was monstering.
Skirmishes really are, if you want to roll the dice on your character to really get that adrenaline pumping, go on a skirmish against the balloon.
Yeah, it's great.
Urizen.
Yeah, so at this point, I knew that obviously this is also at this point you were going to be having your vote later on, and it's actually this is
my vote was at 9 o'clock.
Right, so this is all okay. So then this happens after. Sorry, so
Urizen's after.
Yeah, sorry, I've got the timeline wrong.
Okay,
so
so I had my vote.
And you came back to us basically, and we just come back from our skirmish, and we I think we just chilled out for a little bit, and then we went to head off.
Yeah.
And I was like, come to Urizen, we'll have some drinks and stuff there, or whatever. You guys already wanted to come. And we just headed off to Urizen. It was just cool to sort of walk around there. It was nice. I don't know how much game you guys had there. You spoke to their senator, didn't you?
Yes.
While you were there.
But this was after the vote.
This was after the vote. Yeah.
So
you had a few things to do there.
Let me talk about my Senate at 9.
Yeah.
So basically, this was the big show, the actual vote. Oh, I should mention that the ambassador was the emissary from the Jarm had been postponed till the next day.
Yeah.
So no one had missed anything.
Sure.
So the big ambassador to Jarm vote was on 9 o'clock that evening.
That was it. Yeah.
So there was 4 candidates.
Yes, 4 candidates,
and they represented Navarre, which was me, Verushka, Dawn, and Highguard.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, it was quite. It was a good show, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, before this, me and Keys had basically had the opportunity to go down and watch it. So we'd arranged that we'd go and sit in the Paupers Gallery.
Yeah, it was nice. You guys wanted to come along.
Yeah, we wanted to see it, right? It's a big moment for us, right?
Yeah.
So we'd go there. We get there a bit early before things had probably started. We're a bit like, this would be much improved with a beverage. Mm-hmm. I run off and grab some nice whiskey.
It's a Lagavulin.
Yeah, and then me and Bung share it. It's awesome. We're watching Senate. There were a couple of interesting motions that came up.
There is, isn't there?
And it's interesting when you're watching it.
Did it feel like Saturday was just giant amounts of thrones being approved for different projects?
Well, actually, we weren't really part of that one. There was one vote that was for like a sinecure or something, but we didn't really fully understand what it was about because we weren't invested in it. But the one we had was actually a vote to have a law of murder. I think it was murder, not murder. Sorry, massacre. Which basically is a law that can bring generals to justice, like military leaders to justice.
So if you get a bit overzealous and you murder a whole town.
Yeah, exactly. If for the greater good you kill, like wipe out a whole town of imperial folk, you can be brought up on charges kind of thing.
It's a terrible idea.
It was... Well, that's basically how the Senate went. But it was really interesting listening to both arguments, and there was a really good back and forth on it. A vote was held on all kinds of interesting points, and it also brought in other elements like, if so-and-so did something, there's already checks and balances in place in other types of areas like Synod or something like that. So there were loads of interesting arguments. I think that was a really good back and forth.
It's interesting to see like the mechanisms of government and how it's all like player-led.
Yeah.
And actually the decisions of the whole of... Okay, so... Per year, they get 900 new players per year at the moment. 300 they keep.
Yeah.
Right, or is that per event? I don't know, whatever it is. I think it's
Yeah.
per year. But like PD are growing a lot, and there's a bunch of new players entering the field, right? But I get the feeling there's only been 50 to 100 people really running the whole empire.
Yeah, I mean, there is an element of, power leads into power, and I think it's very difficult.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I think we're at a interesting point in that, right?
Yeah, I think we are.
So all of this stuff works in like systems, right? So you have, if you want to become a senator, you need to get the people that live in your region to vote for you. And that happens once
only
a
in
year.
certain nations. That's the interesting thing.
Oh, interesting.
So different nations have different electoral processes.
What?
So, for example, the wealthiest person might get a seat, or the person with the most herb gardens or something. I don't know which nation follows which rules, but it's not always done by vote.
Really?
So you're not always dealing with people who've been elected to positions like we have. In the VAR, we have it all the people for the region that's being represented by a senator get a vote on who that person is, but that's not the case in every nation.
How interesting.
So there's baked into the cake the idea that everybody you're dealing with is not necessarily in the way that you might think of.
Yeah,
popular
like when I
voters
spoke to Brass Coast, they were like, bribe me.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no veil whatsoever on
Yeah.
this. There's no code, no nothing. It's a bribe.
Yeah, it's a cool element, right?
All right, so let's get back to the actual vote itself.
Yeah. So we're sitting in the Paupers Gallery waiting for you to come out.
We all come out. I get nominated. I come out there.
I think it's also interesting to say you've been in touch with a bunch of our senators as well.
Yeah, my senators, I'd get them all to support me. There was, before going to the vote, there was a vibe about the whole thing. Like I've got like a sense of certain senators that I've spoken to. I don't know, it was interesting.
Yeah.
So we go out there and we do our thing. I felt the Varushkin senator was very, very good.
Yeah.
Right? She really put a case forward. I think I did a fairly good job.
I think you did really well.
I think I put an argument forward that was, if you agreed with me, then you'll support me.
Yeah.
If you didn't agree with my policy, then you wouldn't. But like, I felt like I did a pretty good job.
I think that like the key thing, and I think what was particularly strong about both yours and the Varushkin players' piece was that you had a vision of sorts that you were able to put forward, and then you had the opportunity to disagree or agree with those positions, but there was more of a clearer choice, perhaps.
Yeah.
As an observer, I mean, obviously I'm biased because we all want you to win, so we're kind of stamping our feet in approval of the things you say. But I think you delivered it really well.
Yeah.
Actually, I was really pleased with how you did.
I think the strategy was pretty good going in. I didn't win.
Yeah.
In fact, a third in the vote.
Second, I thought you were. I thought you were second.
Really?
Somebody got, I think, the Varushkin lady got 4. I think you got 5 or 6.
No, I got 4. I'm pretty
No,
sure.
I think you got more than 4.
Did I?
Yeah, you definitely got more than 4.
Oh, interesting.
But anyway, I think...
Dude, my adrenaline was pumping.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised.
Like, it's like, talk about like an unreliable witness. Okay, so I definitely got the Navarre vote, but I also picked up another vote, which I'd written a letter to, and another senator from a different nation who just supported my principle.
Yeah. I thought you had another one as well, but I don't know. We'll look at but anyway, it was you did well. I think
I think I did really well. Didn't win the vote.
Yeah.
I have a feeling the vote was decided before we walked in the room.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the...
This is where we're really bumping against the line of what's possible. But I want to talk about this because it's like, it's done.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting way to approach the game, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to go deeper.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot to this in the sense of real world politics. This is how it is.
This is how it is.
Real
world politics, you don't get to walk in and fucking snatch it out, right?
A good speech doesn't get you the thing
at all,
right?
Like it's a treat to be able to talk, but to be under any illusions that there are. And bear in mind, I'm still trying to hustle behind closed doors, right? It's I put a lot of time and effort into this, right? Which is kind of like one of those things where I'm going like, fuck, like I really felt like that was a good shot. But then it's like, there's a lot more to this than that. Yeah. Now that gives me like a whole bunch of options going forward, right? Do I continue to go for different positions?
Yeah.
Do I try and become a proxy to someone? I feel like if I want to become a proxy to someone, I'd have to really like the person. You know what I mean? Like, I have to really want to engage with the person as much as the role. Do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah. And there's also flipping the table over.
Yeah. And that's the thing,
right?
Any of those options are valid.
There's a lot of way to play this game.
Yeah.
I have a long time to think about my next course of action, you know.
I think one of the things, I don't know if you want to really talk about this, I don't know, it's kind of one thing that can happen, and is that these positions, a lot of effort goes into obviously getting them from the players involved, and while basically there can be barriers that happen because of IC reasons that basically are taking a lot of time and effort from particular players who are going for these positions, and basically trading them for whatever the IC political reason is. And that's a very hard thing to manage, because obviously you put a lot of effort in.
So from my point of view, right, it was like I really enjoyed so much of this ride.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, I think the problem was that potentially I'd spent 3 hours or whatever it was. No, 4 hours.
Yeah. Of Saturday at Senate.
Yeah. To achieve effectively nothing. Like, I didn't make any better contacts. I didn't do anything. Oh, the victor did actually offer me a proxy, and I actually refused because I was like... well,
your positions were just different, weren't they?
Well, exactly. It's just like, I don't feel like I would make a good proxy to that style of ambassador. You know what I mean? Like, it's... Let me put it this way. It's taken me days. I was OC, like... grumpy as hell.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I was grumpy.
Yeah.
So, I think that's one of the things where I've had, like, a whole bunch of bleed with this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I want to do it. I want to give it my best shot. And then I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And
however,
all of the emotions that go with that.
No, but I think it's like, it's testament to the actual craft of it, how much I give a shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a whole different thing. And I do feel pretty naive now, having gone through the process. It feels like, well, actually...
Of course it would be this way.
But it spurs you on at the same time.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, now I'm a little bit wiser about how things operate.
Yeah.
Now it's time to either change target or strategy, right?
I think,
or both.
Like, honestly, it was one of those things that us watching it, like, we were like, and it's probably not much consolation, but we were really proud of you and how you did.
Yeah,
and it was actually really good to watch.
I had a few people come up to me afterwards over the course of the rest of the event that were really, really supportive and really, really nice about it. And it was like it meant a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to kind of just to shoot the shit with people and talk about like all the stuff went on, and to be like, do you know what? I did pretty good. Do you know what I mean? Like, I did the argument really well. It was, it worked.
Yeah, it was honestly, like, so proud of you.
Yeah.
And the thing is as well, like, you're quite a confident guy often, but it's a lot, right? It's a lot, even...
when I said to the kid playing the drum, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, everyone gets scared.
Yeah.
Right? It's how you deal with that fear that's important.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel about, like all that Senate stuff.
You know, like, I knew you were nervous, right? But actually on the floor you dealt with it really, really well. Like, I thought it was really strong.
I think that's one definite skill, is to appear a lot calmer than I actually am. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's something very valuable moving forward. But yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
When you're on the floor and you're really trying to do it. It led to a lot of like the people that did vote for me. It was cool, kind of shaking their hand and being like, thank you, and like winning that side of things. I feel like I said, my brain is tingling with ideas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like this has defeated me from the idea. Yeah. Maybe a strategy or an entirely different like approach to the whole thing. Yeah. Like, I don't even know yet. Like, I'm speculating. But we'll see what the new year brings and how I feel about it then.
And then it was it was after this that then we went on to Urizan, didn't we?
Yeah, we went to Eurozen then.
That's
and
when we did it. So sorry about earlier.
It was interesting going to Eurozen because that's your thing.
Yeah, and I think that...
And I've met people in Eurozen OC and we get on really well. But I don't know them IC.
Yeah.
And we really encroached on your thing.
Yeah, I think it's like, to be honest with you, like I'm still quite an outsider. I'm sure most people in Eurozen don't know who I am or anything like that. You know, but obviously I've met certain people and I can hang out with certain people. And for me, it's like kind of a bit of game that I'm a bit more embedded in. But also it's kind of like something I've slowly kind of worked for and built over a period of time.
A bunch of stinking drunken Navarre show up,
and there's it was good. I hope you guys all had fun. Like
we had a great time. I really like those people. Like they're good people.
Like so, I think you guys parted ways with me there, and I just hung around in Eurozen for ages.
We forgot one thing.
Yeah,
before heading out to Eurozen, we're at Songs and Stories, and I did my limerick.
Oh yes.
So after the vote at the Senate, went to Songs and Stories. I knew that it was the last hour of Songs and Stories is all songs.
Yeah.
So I think it was late. I don't know, it might have been before 11, but I was like worried about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was going to go forward, and then someone was saying something about people say strength to the Empire, strength to Navarre too much in Navarre.
Yeah.
As I'm trying to like step out, right? So I'm trying to step out into the circle. I'm giving an eye to Sparrow to be like, is it okay if I...
Yeah.
And this guy is like talking about it. He sits down and everyone's like, right. So the mood's like pretty like straight when I step out.
Yeah.
And I'm like... So I got my old tambourine in hand. And tambourine was an early archetype for the build, right? Like it was as part of the build.
Yeah.
Grabbed the old tambourine. I've been messing around with it a little bit. And started to incorporate my limerick with a little bit of tambourine playing. And ladies and gentlemen, there is power in a tambourine, is there not? You... And everyone's like, oh, it adds tension.
Yeah. And then I didn't expect what followed.
Yeah, should I read the limerick? Oh no, I think I've got to save it somewhere. Hold on. Okay, do you want to hear the...
Yeah, go on. Go on.
There once was an archer named Talus who shot arrows while holding a chalice. He took a big drink and shot with a wink, hitting a herald on the end of his phallus.
And I just didn't expect this at all. I went through all of the different emotions, but, you know, I was like...
I've given you a hint something was coming earlier on. But,
I didn't expect that at all. Like, honestly, you got me completely. And
I read it out of my book, by the way, because I was so nervous and I was like 100% sure I'd get the wording right. I was like, I had the book with me, but then used it like a prop. Like I was reading it as I went. And
you did nice little kind of comedy pauses between
comedy,
it as well.
Comedy
and
pause
shaking
for
the
the end line, doing the tambourine.
Yeah, it was really good. Like, honestly... I welled up a little bit, I'll be honest. Like, just because it's kind of like... It's a silly thing, you know. It's a limerick thing, and it's not as like big or like.
It got a laugh. It was good,
but yeah, I mean, it was. It means a lot, right? Like,
it was, dude. It was. It was great for me to do it as my first venture into Songs and Stories. It was great to do it for you, just for the lols.
It was great. I honestly, I was really touched by it. It's just, and it's like nobody probably at the fire knows who Talus is. But it's like, it's cool that you can do that for each other in a way.
I want to do, there's some ideas I've got for some of the stories in the future, very tambourine based.
Yeah.
So, I saw this thing that it's a Japanese art where there's a person sitting there and they have a fan.
Right.
I think it's a fan and something else. And they're storytellers.
Right.
And the whole story is based off, and they represent those things. So they close the fan and use it like a sword, or they use the fan to represent different things. And the whole thing is from the idea of like a person telling the story.
Yeah.
Oh, I got ideas, man. Like, I don't know whether any of this will come to fruition, but like story, tambourine,
jam.
Yeah, there's a lot of like ideas I've got now, like stories that I'd like to potentially tell, or like ways to just to give it a try. Even if it's like again for like a minute, and I just like get a good hot minute with like a good tag on it, then maybe.
I missed out on a lot of songs and stories this time, and I adore songs and stories, but I was just so busy doing other things. It was such a packed event.
I got like proper drunk. I was like whiskey drunk on Saturday night. I was like, because I lost the election, and I was like so emotionally involved in it, and I was grumpy, and it was just like I didn't go on any skirmishes. I was getting whiskey drunk. So we go through all the way through songs and stories, go past songs and stories, which I don't think I've done since possibly the second event, and then we go into Time Out Anvil. You blast through the other side, into no longer playing
the game.
Yeah.
But before this, I was over in Urizen, and we were drinking over there.
Yeah.
And I'm hanging with Lanius and some other Urizeni, and basically the songs and stuff start inside the Phoenix Reach tent, and I go inside there, and there's some awesome songs, by the way, like, and there's a really cool vibe in Urizen, like late at night. It was so good, and they were calling out for songs, and songs were being sung, and there's like a song with Lanius in it, and sort of several people in the nation who I know. It's awesome.
That's cool,
right? And while this is going on, they're passing around drinks, and there's this. I think it's like called Trod's Moonshine or something. Okay, and they're passing this along, and they're just more like, smell this. Okay, rather than taste this.
Smells.
You know it's bad when people are asking you to like smell this, and everybody's like just passing it on, not drinking it. And it comes to me, and I'm like, I smell it. I've got a really poor sense of smell, to be perfectly honest. But I smell this thing, and I'm just like, it smells so bad. I take a swig of it. I'm like, and I'm like,
by the virtues.
Well, no, because everybody else who'd had a swig as well looked like it was pretty bad.
So you tried to...
I swag it, and I was sort of like, I've had worse. And I ended up saying that to somebody, and they were, and then I took another drink from it. They were like, having it, you saying it, you've had worse is not a prerequisite of drinking more.
No.
That's the thing. And I ended up like just working through this moonshine. I didn't get super duper drunk, but it was kind of...
This event was a front and center, like, we don't always talk about it, but like, there was Tom and his mead.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of people come by and offer us booze and offer us free samples. We went to a bit of a fight. We got a bit of a rep, I think, but people come by and offer us booze. Which
Having said that, like, I don't get like... You know, it's not like I get insanely drunk or anything.
No,
I think I do so much walking and so much, like, there's a lot of breaks actually between my drinking.
Like, I was just whiskey drunk on Saturday night. Like,
I think for you, it was like, you know, you were kind of cutting a loose a little bit at the end.
Grumpy. Like, I was so invested in it, and I was still trying to digest everything. But it was do you know what? Some of the stories and a bit of a chin wag with new friends.
Yeah.
Oh, friends. We should talk about friends. Okay.
So that it's time out. I've worked my way back to the Songs and Stories circle.
Yeah.
I find you guys.
We're hanging out.
You're hanging out there at that point. You're up for starters.
Yeah, it's that I'm in that wonderful, like, I'm kind of like drunk. Things are like hazy around me. There's no more Songs and Stories. It's lighter than usual. Yeah. Everyone's like dropping character and just having a good old chin wag.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I think we should be very vague about this.
Yeah, we start talking to Lloyd about what he's been doing.
And we talk to some other people.
Yeah, and there's a group which you'll either know about it or you won't. I think there's a bit of bleed maybe with the group as OCIC. But I don't know. But anyway, you'll know if you are really into friends.
There's a place where you can go to. I don't think we should be too specific.
Yeah.
At a time.
Yeah.
And certain lost souls have tended there for a while now.
Yeah.
And this is built into what some people might refer to as a cult. A friendship cult.
A friendship cult.
It's not a cult, it's a club.
Yeah.
It's something that they will hold a knife to your throat while explaining to you. So that's good to know. They have a song.
Yeah.
Which is frankly demonic and terrifying. I've heard about people being jumped into it, as in being held at knife point and being taken and being indoctrinated into it. Sounds like Lloyd got off the easy way.
Yeah. But anyway, it sounds like a lot of fun. Like, in a way,
want nothing to do with
yeah,
them.
Talis wants nothing to do with it at all.
But I'm so glad they exist.
Yeah. It's awesome. And
it's really cool.
That's the crazy thing, as we've said a lot, I think, this episode. There's just a lot of areas where the game is open to players just to run wild, and they do. And you can be sure of one thing: the players are running wild, and it's a great time.
Yeah. In fact, yeah, like if you close off certain sections of the game, do that at your peril, because there's LARPers out there.
Yeah.
LARPing their own game, which could turn out to be... The friendship cult could turn out to be the end of the empire, for all we know. Why didn't they just stop Hitler in fucking... You know what I mean? Like, back then, in 32 or whatever. And then it's like, well, we all knew about the friendship cult of 383, but no one did anything to stop them, you know?
Saturday was fantastic. We just had a great time. The night just ended really well, I think.
Yeah,
I think you were still...
Do you know what? I hope we did a good job in talking about all the events that happened, because it was like...
There's a lot.
Now, 4 days out,
yeah,
I'm so glad I went for everything.
Yeah.
Like, it was a really emotional experience. The whole weekend had loads of emotional experiences. Yeah. But it was like, I'm glad I did all of them now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to miss not being able to do it until March or whatever.
Yeah.
Right, shall we
Take
stop
a break
there
for Sunday?
And then go and talk about Sunday?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a long one, but thank you.
Back for Sunday. Bye.
Yeah.
And the cake, it was all gone! Ah! Very sexy. Where is this stew I have so much about? My stomach, it is beginning to sound like a salmon. Hey, what the?
Keep your hands where I can see them. And don't make any sudden moves.
If you just wanted a seat, cousin, you could have just asked. No need to threaten me with that knife. We are a friendly bunch.
I am Giovanni Bianchi di Sarvos, of the
Of
Guardians
of Anarch. Give me the key or prepare to die.
You mock me?
No, not at all. It's just that we have met.
Are you saying you have the key?
We have a piece. A better question would be, who gave it to us?
Hey, that is a very pointy.
I am not here to play games.
The person that gave us the key was called Edith Harju.
What did you say? You dare speak the sorceress's name?
She told us that if we met the Guardians of Anarch, we should say her name and that you would help us.
You are the champions? This makes no sense.
Me. We are no happier than you are about this.
So be it. Things of this nature are rarely by chance.
Oh, look, the food is finally here.
My humble apologies for the delay. I took the liberty of bringing an extra bowl for your friend. Bon appetit.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it looks good. Oh, it smells good. Let's see if the taste. Is it worth the wait?
Stop!
Hey, stop that. I'm hungry. Hey, come on. That is just cruel.
Did you see the barman's hand?
It had a scorpion tattoo, clear as day on it.
Yeah, the bloody vengeance code.
The very same. We need to get out of here.
Something wrong with your meal?
No, not at all. Unfortunately, we filled ourselves up on bar snacks. We were just thinking about a quick walk to build our appetites.
I'm afraid the storm is far too fierce now. People could just disappear out there. You'd better stay in here.
That's an interesting-looking mask you're wearing. And your voice, it seems familiar. Have we met?
Why, of course. I feel like we are old friends. Please allow me to remove my mask so you can see my face.
Oh! Derek, is that you?
In fact, I wanted to thank you. Before we met, I was so vain. People would mention how handsome I was. My life was full of distractions. Now children cry when they see my face. Women recoil in horror at my presence. And that smell, that stench of burnt flesh never leaves me. Now my life is full of purpose. One purpose. Vengeance.